Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Module 5 of Small Business Management and Entrepreneurship. And in this module, we're going to focus on some more of what it takes to run your business day to day. We're going to cover how to staff your business because as it grows, that can become very important. How to generate sales and provide good customer service. And then everyone's favorite topic, how to handle tax responsibilities, because love it or hate it, we all have to pay our part to the government, okay? So these are some of the operational pieces that are kind of going to keep your business functioning and growing, and in the case of taxes, keep you out of legal trouble, okay? And the first thing we're going to start with is staffing, or quite simply, who is going to do the work. Now, with a lot of owner-operated businesses, a lot of small business owners start as the owner-operator, which means they own it and they do everything because that's just cost-effective right at the beginning. That's why it's common. New business startups have limited money for hiring. They want to control things. Early stage workload is often manageable, but eventually growth is going to require help. And if you start a small business that is, say, a store or a restaurant that is open for a large portion of the day, then you may have to start out immediately with staff because you cannot be there all the time or because it's going to require more than one person on premises to keep things going. So you will possibly eventually come to a point where you need to hire your first employee. And hiring your first employee is going to be a big step. It can increase your capacity to further your business. It's going to allow you to delegate tasks. It's going to help your business grow faster, but it also brings some added challenges with it because it's going to bring extra costs. You have to pay wages. You have to pay for their benefits. You have to pay taxes for that individual. You're going to have legal responsibilities. You're going to need to train and manage these employees, okay? It's an opportunity and a risk because you really want to make sure you find the right fit, okay? You want to make sure that you hire the right person because hiring the wrong person can cost you money. It takes money to bring people onto the team. And if you do it and then immediately find out they're not a good fit, then you've wasted that money. It can hurt team morale. If you bring someone in who dramatically changes the way other people interact, it can hurt their morale. It can damage your reputation with the community, with your customers. If you hire someone for your business and they are rude or unhelpful to your customers. So when hiring someone, you should make sure that you clearly define the role, that you interview carefully, that you actually check the references. Don't just have them write them down, check them, that you look for both skills and cultural fit. And what do I mean by that? Cultural fit. Does the person line up with your business? And just kind of a funny story of that, of someone making it work when maybe they didn't. My daughter is a very sort of theater person. That's her favorite hobby. That's what her degree is in. She's very into artsy things and loves all of that. But she's very good at retail, and that's where she's working right now. She's good at managing retail stores. And currently she is managing a rally house, which is a sports, like you buy jerseys and caps with your favorite sports teams on it. And so she knows nothing about sports. And so it didn't seem like a good cultural fit. And so I asked her, but they were going to pay her well. I said, all right, can you work at a rally house? What do you know about working at a rally house? And she said, for what they're paying me, I can be Sporty Spice. And she has pulled it off, possibly because of her acting background, but she has also learned, taking the time to discipline herself and learn about the culture that is coming in to be the customer base. But you see, it's important if you have a sporting goods store, you kind of want to hire somebody who fits that brand, right? Who looks like they might have some knowledge, who actually has some knowledge in the sporting good industry. So that's just something to be aware of, that your employee is a good fit, not just a good employee, but a good fit for your particular business, okay? And there are some alternatives to hiring. If you need help but are not ready to hire full-time employees, you can outsource some work. You can hire kind of a contractor type person. You can hire part-time employees. You can use temporary workers. Those options will give you some flexibility and help you control costs until you are ready to move to that stage of actually hiring a full-time employee. Okay, now we're going to move on and talk a little bit about sales and customer service. Because without sales, there is no business, right? You can have everything rocking along, and if you can't sell anything, you're not going to make it. Okay, you need to know your unique selling proposition, your USP. That is what makes your business different. It answers the question, why should customers choose me? And you don't need to just depend on the customers to make that call. You need to have that within yourself. You need to consider that, think on that, and have a plan to push that forward. It could be that you have better quality, that you have lower price, that you have unique features, that your service is great. But whatever you decide your USP is, you need to make sure that you push that out into marketing to increase your sales, okay? And you need to work on being a great salesperson. Not everyone is naturally, right? Not everyone is an extrovert, and introverts can sometimes have a really hard time with sales. But if you're going to have a business, you're going to have to fake it till you make it sometimes on being a great salesperson. Great salespeople understand their customers. They know their product very well, right? You can do those two things without being super outgoing. They build trust and relationships. They listen more than they talk. And then they follow up and stay persistent, but they walk that fine line between not being irritating, right? Like if you go look one time at a car, they check back, it's okay. But if they bombard you with continuous contact, then you may lose interest. So they have to walk a fine line, and really, it's a gift and a talent to be a great salesperson, but it is one you can learn and grow. Because one thing to remember in sales is not just selling, it's really solving a problem for your customer. Figure out what it is they need, what are they lacking, and help them meet that need, okay? And you need to think of ways to generate sales. You can generate sales through websites and e-commerce. Social media, again, we've already talked about that. That is a huge one in today's market. You generate sales through content marketing, through email campaigns, through advertising and promotions. I think the main thing is to try to use multiple strategies, see what works, be willing to adapt over time. Don't just decide from the onset, I market by flyers and that's all I'm doing, because if that doesn't work, then what are you going to do? You have to be willing to adjust to what is working and what is not working. Okay, customer service is so important in business. Customer service is what keeps people coming back. It's what makes them loyal to you, because great service builds trust and it creates that loyalty and it encourages referrals. If someone does a really good job on a service they provide for me, or if I buy a product I really love, plus the customer service was really good, I'm going to tell my friends and family, people I care about. If they say, where should I get my hair cut? And I really love the lady that's cutting my hair or the man that's cutting my hair, I'm going to send them that way, right? That's the kind of thing we want to encourage. And some simple ways to improve customer service is to just make sure you take a little time to know your customers. You don't have to know every intimate detail of their life, but just kind of get a vague feel for who they are. Make sure you respond quickly. I will give up on you quick. I'm a little bit of an impatient person. If I call and ask about if you have something available and I don't hear back from you for a week, I've moved on, right? You've lost that sale. Be sure you have a plan for how you're going to be able to respond quickly, especially if you are the owner operator and the only person handling it. You still need to work on that response time, okay? You need to make sure you handle complaints professionally. Nobody likes to be complained on. Nobody likes to receive complaints. Try to separate your business a little bit from your person and don't take it as a personal attack, okay? And be sure you handle things professionally and be willing to go the extra mile. That's what people like to see, the businesses that will really go out there for them. Because really, in every business, reputation is super important. In small business, reputation is kind of everything. It's going to go a long way as to whether or not you succeed or fail. Okay. Okay. Part 3. Let's move into that. No one wants to talk about taxes and financial responsibilities. You got to handle it. It cannot be ignored. If it's ignored for very long, you're going to get in legal trouble. Okay. Federal taxes, depending on your business, this is national government, federal government, you're going to pay income tax, Social Security and Medicare taxes, self-employment tax, unemployment taxes. If you have employees, there's FUTA and SUTA, which sounds hilarious, but it's just federal unemployment tax and state unemployment tax. Certain industries have excise taxes depending on what sort of products you're using. If you have employees, you're going to have withhold and match payroll taxes. Okay. State taxes are different. In Texas, we do not have state income tax. Okay. I know Louisiana is a big part of Pinola's market. If you're in Louisiana, y'all do, I think, have state income tax. Texas does not, but businesses have to pay sales tax, franchise tax, property tax, unemployment tax, right? Again, this is where you need to consult a lawyer or a CPA who can make sure you don't miss something accidentally that's going to get you in trouble. Okay. If your product is taxable, sales tax, then you must register for a permit, collect sales tax from customers, file the returns, and send the money to the government, because basically you're just a pass through, right? You have to handle that for whichever government entity you owe it to, either just the federal state tax or state tax, state sales tax. You have to pass that on, okay? So just be aware of that. Now, one thing to think about when selling is that, this sounds so funny to say, you have to think about your POS system. Now, forget what you know about POS and hear me say point of sale system. Because the first time I was sitting in a meeting and someone asked what my POS or what POS I preferred, I was like, what? It's point of sale systems. And they are used to process payments, track sales, automatically calculate taxes. You're really going to want that. They're very simple. They're computer based. It's what's inside the cash register or what that does when you swipe the card. It just stores things, handle things. It's like a software. It's a tool that makes transactions much easier. So if you're going to get into selling products in that way, receiving payments, which one would assume you will in a business, you're really going to want to look at a good POS system. Okay. Now let's just kind of wrap up this module. Staffing decisions are going to affect your growth and your culture. So you need to make them carefully, wisely, and after much consideration. Sales and customer service are going to drive your revenue and reputation. And taxes, do not forget them. They're a required responsibility and they must be managed carefully. Okay, you have to know the rules. You're going to have state sales tax. You might not have state income tax, but some states do. You need to understand all of the specifics about where you are, what's required, what you need to pay to who. So I recommend a good attorney or CPA to help you with that. Okay, guys, this module has 3 quizzes as the assignment, but these quizzes are more than multiple choice, so just take your time on them. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will see you in our final module, which is Module 6.